So here's the current MAF sensor housing and piece of charge plumbing that goes from the intercooler outlet all the way up to the throttle body. So this guy's 4-inch, just a couple of mandrel bends that I welded together and machined a flange to mount the factory MAF sensor from the RS4. So when we calibrated things in August last year, we about maxed this thing out in this housing. So again, 4-inch straight shot there, relatively speaking. Of course, the actual straight section is maybe only about 2.5 or so inches long. Overall, this setup works well. We did do alpha N setup for the idle because the MAF signal was not super smooth, but right off idle it smooths out, and the rest of the calibration is all MAF based. So super happy with how it works now. Ultimately, I do want to go to a full MAF based tune or calibration, so I'm going to be making a few changes. One of them to deal with the range is I'll be replacing this guy with a PMAS, this HPXE, so that thing will give me more range for this from the sensor. The other change that I'll be playing with, not sure exactly how what I'll end up with, but in this piece of plumbing, I'll cut out maybe 2 inches or so and weld in these flanges here, one on each side, single O-ring. This is a large Wiggin style clamp from Pegasus Racing, or OBX, same brand, and it's just a quick release style clamp that handles a good bit of pressure, allows a little bit of flex, not necessary here, but what it will give me is it gives me a nice little lip on the inside to be able to mount or install some of this aluminum honeycomb, which serves as kind of a flow straightener to get the air to be a bit more laminar before it hits the sensor. So we'll see. I've got a few different materials coming. This particular guy is a little bit small to fit in here nice and snug, but that lip will keep it from going any deeper once it gets mounted. And so I've got, like I said, a few different sizes. This particular one is a 1/2 inch thick, and the honeycombs, the honeycombs are measured by the long end, and these are 3/16 inch honeycomb. So yeah, so that's the changes I'll be making there. That'll allow me to swap out this half. I'll be able to keep the current sensor, see if the flow straightener addresses the rough signal from the MAF sensor at idle with the current setup. And then when I change to the PMAS sensor, of course I can install and remove that honeycomb as needed. If I don't need it, I don't need it. If I do and it helps, that's great. So just kind of a quick overview of this charge piece. So it's that's the V-band flange for the Tile Sport QRJ blow-off valve, which is that guy right there. And then on this end of things, you can see a little bit of the blue residue from the water meth injection. So using some of the windshield washer fluid that a lot of folks use. And then another vacuum port here for some vacuum signal and boost signal from there. So engine-wise, things are looking rather clean inside. So it's nice to see clean throttle body. That's always pleasant to see. And then on the intercooler side, just having a peek down there. Intercooler is super clean. No signs of any kind of coolant leaks. A little bit of, again, water meth residue there, that blue stuff. So there's a little bit of dripping going on. I've got a check valve in the water meth hose, which is that guy right there, and just a short section of line to the nozzle. Maybe that check valve's leaking a little bit. No big deal. Not worried about it. But everything's looking nice and clean. It works well. So very happy with the setup. And I hope these changes also work out well for the MAF sensor. Based on the transfer function, that new MAF sensor should support, I don't know, something like 4,000 kilograms per hour of airflow. The current 1950 limit on this guy is about 7 to 750 crank horsepower, and we were right there when we were doing the calibration work last August. I hit 620 wheel horse, and this thing was about at its max. So that guy will be a big help, allow me to boost a little bit further, power a little bit further. And then cosmetically, I don't think it'll be such a big change to see anodized black clamp positioned about here, and then those silver ends, once they're welded, once I weld them to the charge plumbing, I'll have both pieces repowder coated this flat or textured black. So hopefully most of this disappears a bit and looks as simple and clean in the engine bay as it does now, because I don't want it to be shiny and flashy or obvious. So that's what's happening.